All right. So today's episode, we're going to talk a lot about athletic running shoes, and especially, are they equipment or fashion? Both, maybe. But today we're talking with Stuart Jenkins, who I'm going to let him talk about himself because it's going to be much easier that way as we explore this topic of athletic shoes and how, especially for people in our fitness community, how it's really important to start thinking about them as these are essential pieces of equipment for both ourselves and for our clients. Stuart, thanks for being here. Please give everyone the rundown on your background history so we can start building that.
All right. Thanks, Dr. Parker. It's great to be on Far Side of Fitness. I know it's a service and a information source a lot of people count on. You asked that question, is it fashion or equipment for athletic footwear? And of course, if I wear it, it's fashion. I mean, you can see with my hairdo, I'm right in there and people, I'm a trendsetter. So
Yeah,
you can imagine how that goes, right?
Yeah.
Well, my background, I don't know whether I'm bragging or complaining or both at this point, but I've been in the innovation side of athletic footwear for 48 years. Started as a young runner trying to qualify for the Olympic trials off of a cattle ranch in central Nebraska, which is not the normal starting point for an athlete, probably. And really, you'd win races in the local Easter race or the Halloween race, and you'd get a pair of shoes as your prize. And of course, when you're in high school, you get free shoes, you wear those things because at least my dad wasn't going to go out and buy me a new pair. I can tell you that. And if they didn't work, I'd go into mom's kitchen and I'd steal her butcher knife and I'd slice them to make them more flexible or cut holes in them if they were too hot. I didn't need Gore-Tex. I just punched a hole in them and they were breathable. They weren't waterproof. Or if the Achilles tab was rubbing, I just cut it off, or if the heel counter was too stiff, I would just go on the outside and slice it with a razor blade to make it easier. And so that got me into footwear. And, it's kind of one of those things where if you're a hardcore user, you probably have more information than you realize. But some people, they look at their shoes and they say, well, this rubs, and they just throw them away or put them away or say it doesn't work instead of going, well, why? And they're afraid to, get out a razor or a knife or a scissors and make it better. And for whatever reason, I just found that my user experience led me to believe that I could help make shoes better. And that's what got me started on this crazy journey.
Yeah, and what's interesting is I just don't think I think we think about shoes a lot, especially in fitness, but I feel like the journey is so aesthetic based. It's not I mean, I think some people, like, I was a former collegiate athlete runner, so shoes were huge. How it fit, how comfortable it was. What was the feeling? How often do we need to get new shoes from our program to feel good? But for the layperson, I have seen they'll use shoes for years and never change them.
It,
And that
it
is incredible to me.
It is absolutely incredible. And somebody will say, well, uh, I still have tread on my outsole, so the shoes must be good. And, they can be compressed and flatter than a pancake. I mean, what you have to remember about footwear, one of its most essential elements is cushioning. I mean, it's taking a pounding so that your body doesn't. And that midsole, the foam or the white part, in most cases white, that you see in a shoe, its job is to compress so your knees and your hips and your back and your vertebrae don't. And yet, people are dressed very fashionably. They clearly have resources, and they're wearing shoes that are completely dead or flat. It baffles me. But let's face it, I don't think that the running industry or the footwear industry has any intention of telling you that their shoes are actually failing or cushioning is failing probably 2 or 3 times faster than they tell you. They say your shoes last to 500 miles. I've never seen any scientific data that says a running shoe will last 500 miles in terms of its cushioning properties. Outsole might, upper might. I would say that most running shoes are failing in the 250 mile range. Insoles, the inside of those shoes, I know that those insoles are losing all of their cushioning within 25 to 30 miles, many as early as 4 or 5 miles. That's just the fact. And if, if some footwear brand wants to sue me, go ahead, but they won't because it's the truth. But most runners or athletes, they don't think about it. And keep in mind, marketing works, right?
Yeah.
The professional athletes that you see are not wearing the shoes they're wearing because they're the best. They're wearing the shoes they're wearing because they get paid to wear them. Well, I could wear all kinds of stuff if somebody would pay me to wear it. You'd be surprised what I'd wear, Dr. Parker, if you paid me to wear it,
If you paid you
especially
there.
what they pay those guys.
Right. Yeah, most definitely. So let's break this down because I think this is a good time. We talked about it in our discovery call, and I was blown away. Just talk about kind of your general running shoe. I mean, I don't know what shoes you could talk about or not, whatever, but let's talk about the longevity of the actual shoe and maybe some recommendations for how long your shoes will last and changing those shoes and the insoles specifically, how that could lengthen the time frame for when you need to change shoes.
Well, if you go to the running websites, the major running brands are all very consistent. They'll say that they last from 3 to 500 miles, but they present no data to that effect. Now, keep in mind, this you've got a range of life expectancy of a running shoe from 3 to 500 miles. That means the cushioning is going to go flat. Yet they can't tell you within a 40% range when that will happen. But when they want to sell you a carbon fiber shoe, they can tell you with absolute precision that you're going to run 2.5 or 4% faster. Now, Dr. Parker, does that sound reasonable to you?
I'm very curious.
Are you really telling me that there's a lot of variables. You might weigh 300 pounds or you might weigh 110. You might want to run a 5-minute mile. You might run a 12-minute mile. There's just as many variables when you're putting in a carbon fiber super shoe. You get all kinds of information on your watch: cadence, distance, stride, steps, blah, 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 heart rate, heart zone. But can anybody tell you when their shoes are failing? No. So apparently we can go to Mars, we can go to the moon, we can make you run 4% faster, but somehow all of the technical research at all of these big running brands are unable to give you anything other than a 40% range as to when the cushioning in your shoes will fail. So as a person who wants to protect themselves, there are a couple simple things that you can do. One, buy 2 pair of your favorite shoes at the same time. And after 30 days, depending on how many miles you run in a month, after you think you've run maybe 150 miles on that first pair of shoes, the next day wear the new pair of shoes. And if you can feel the difference, throw the old ones away.
Wow.
Convert them to your gardening shoe or your walking shoe or your standing around mowing the lawn shoe. And to me, it was funny. When my knees hurt, I think, oh gosh, am I getting injured? Oh no, just need to go get a new pair of shoes. And as many times as I've done this, it still takes me a while. I was in the half of the class that made the top half possible. I still had to go, oh gosh, my knees are hurting. Am I injured? Have I run to? Oh no, I need to go get new shoes. Fixed it. And you will be surprised at what that does. But you have to be very alert. And I think anybody that is running over 250 miles on a pair of shoes is playing Russian roulette with injury. I really believe that. And, I don't have a dog in the fight. And, that's why. And when you think of the insole that they put in these shoes, I mean, if you don't like the insole that they put in the shoes, just go wad up 2 or 3 pieces of tissue paper and replace it every day because it'll be just as effective. I mean,
Wow.
it's complete garbage. And so, when we made an insole at Blumaka, we made an insole that we literally guarantee the cushioning for 1,000 miles. Of course, you should have seen my attorneys when I told it. I mean, he had a full head of hair, and when I told him I was putting 1,000-mile cushioning guarantee on an insole, he said, "You're going to get sued." I said, "Hey, if it's the truth, I win." And he goes, "Well, that's the truth." And so we've tested insole. I mean, I got an insole right here. Look at this
Yeah.
old dirty insole. This guy's a 265-pound marathon runner. And he said, "Hey, I love your insoles, but Stuart, you put out this guarantee and I want to hold you to the
Yeah.
standard." So he circled areas where he thought it had worn out, where he had lost his cushioning. And you see this dot right here?
Yeah, I see it.
I took that to an independent testing lab, Helix, well known in the athletic footwear industry, and said, "How much cushioning did we lose?" After 800 miles, Strava miled on a 265-pound marathon runner, not your average weight, we maintained 93% of our cushioning for 800 miles.
Whoa.
Now, we consider failure when you lose 15% of your cushioning, and we've tested clear up to right near 1,500 miles. So that's why we guarantee it 500 miles. And if you put a higher quality insole like a Blumaka insole in your shoe, I'm going to stop showing you the dirty one. If you put a one, you will feel the difference because you're replacing tissue paper grade foam with high quality foam. Two, you probably will get an extra 100 miles or so out of your shoes because it's going to add about 10 or 15% to that feel. And so, we tell people, buy this and use it with about 5 to 6 pair of shoes. And it will extend your shoe life, but it will also protect you. I mean, again, why do we have cushioning in shoes? To protect you from concrete and asphalt and hard things.
Most
It's not that
definitely.
hard.
It's really not that hard. And as someone, I have these insoles, and I was telling Stuart before we got on, these things are literally amazing. Like, and I'm training for a marathon, and shoe wear is incredibly important to me. And the insoles, and I could tell you it has changed my training. And also before this, I would be, because I spend all day training clients and stuff, and I'm on my feet all the time. My feet would be killing me without these. My feet no longer hurt when I'm standing all day long. So I was telling Stu before, I said, "Dude, you've converted me, okay? You've converted me. I'm all in on Blumaka. My wife's training also for half marathons. I'm like, man, I got to do more of this because this is incredible." But I want to get back to is you said like 300 to 500 miles. How much on in like for the average person, just general activity? How many months is that? Would you say?
Well, I mean, back in the day when I was training for the Olympic trials, I was running 100 miles a week for three
Right,
weeks in a row. So, to think of that fact, if you're a high distance marathon training person, you're talking about probably 3 to 4 weeks.
right.
No more than 6 weeks. If you're running 5 miles a day, I mean, you're gonna, you're gonna go 4 months, right?
Yeah.
Um, so I think that depends. I also know that if you're running 6 minute miles, you're going to pound that shoe a lot harder. And of course, if you're my friend that's a 255-pound marathon runner or whatever, you're going to, I would say if you're running sub 6 minute miles, I would say that shoe's probably going to last you about 6 weeks.
Mm,
If you're a 250-pound marathoner, I mean, a month or 2 months. I mean, the thing is, you may not like it, but you can buy as many pair of shoes as you want. But you're only going to get one body.
that's right.
And yeah, you can buy new knees, you can buy new hips, but that's not exactly a barrel of fun. So this is the protection system, right? It's It is your crash pad. It is your crash helmet. It is your airbag with every step, you know, and the idea that you would want to drive your car and go, well, is that airbag going to work this time? You know, that airbag is going to last you somewhere between 40,000 and 100,000 miles. So, you know, if you crash at 40, it might deploy. If you, I mean, you wouldn't do that when your health is at risk. But in running shoes, we just blithely go out there and say, well, 300 to 500 miles.
Do you
So
think is it
I
just
I would
marketing,
err on the side of buying
education?
shoes that. What's that?
Is it marketing and education? Let's say for just the general population person, who was a lot of what my clients are, and we're not necessarily the athletic population. They don't know anything about this. This is why we're doing this episode. Too. Is like the general person, especially, has no clue. They just ride these shoes into the ground, literally to their nubbins. And
Yeah.
so I'm curious, is it the marketing education, but also understanding the injury risk, I think is not talked about enough in this. So I'd love to hear more about that. We talked about
Well,
your knees, I mean, like,
yeah, and I wish I had data on that. And I'm seeing a few studies, but I'm not the expert on this.
sure.
And you got to be careful of overreaching here. But and you'll hear everything. Remember, barefoot running was going to save you, and
I
running shoes
remember
are what
that.
caused. The running was going to cause you. If you ran barefoot, you'd never get injured, but it seems to me that what is true, running shoes have gotten a lot more expensive in the last 40 years.
Yeah.
Running research has gotten a lot more prolific, and running claims have gotten a lot larger. There's no doubt that running shoes with carbon fiber and lightweight and so forth have increased performance, but I don't see a correlation in injury rates being reduced.
Mm.
Nobody that I know of has come out and said, because of all of these improved shoes, runners are getting injured less frequently. Now, the act of running, you're having I was talking about cars, you're having a crash,
Yeah.
3 times your body weight is landing and going through your skeletal system every time you land. So, but if running shoes were really getting a lot better over time, you would think that injury rates would go down. And I'm just not sure that that has happened.
Mm.
And that's why one, you have to get the right shoe for you, but I'm an advocate of making sure that at least that running shoe is going to provide cushioning and protection for every crash. And therefore, if I were buying shoes on the open market, I would buy shoes that probably are last year's model, and I would buy them more frequently. You're not saving money by making infrequent shoe purchases. My friends here at Rabbit, the running apparel, we worked with them and collaborated on a new trail shoe,
Okay.
and it's got a Blumaka non-slip insole. We'll talk about non-slip if you want later. I think
Yeah,
you've been
love to.
trying those.
Yeah.
But Monica and the team at Rabbit spent a lot of time selecting a midsole. They could have gotten a lighter midsole, and everybody goes light, 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 light. But light generally means it's going to break down fast, fast, fast. This midsole is made out of an ETPU material, and I will bet you, I haven't tested this in a lab, but I will bet you that this midsole of ETPU will go 500 miles.
Mm.
But she made a commitment to making something that would go to the distance. She's an ultra marathoner. She wanted a shoe that you could run 100-mile race in and not have to switch out, and the shoe wouldn't pack out. I mean, literally, if you think of some of your ultra marathoning friends, they're in a shoe that probably fails during the race.
That's crazy.
and they paid $200 for it.
Wow. My goodness. I had no clue. That's amazing. I want to go back real quick. How does someone find the right shoe for them?
Oh boy, if I knew that, I'd be a billionaire. Um, I think that one, you know, go to a run specialty shop and get fit. I mean, the number one mistake people make is buying shoes that are the wrong size. I was working with a professional baseball team, and just by observation, I told the team doctors and trainers that I thought that half of their athletes were in shoes that were um, one size too small for them. They bought a scanner and scanned all of their athletes and their entire farm system and everything. They called me 3 weeks later and said, "You were wrong. 60% of our athletes are in shoes that were one full size wrong.
Mm.
And like 10% were wearing shoes that were two sizes incorrect." So go to a store that measures your foot. And then, of course, you have to wear the product. And again, don't get seduced by the marketing BS. If you've got a toe that or a foot shape that is wide, you you got to go to a brand that has a wide option. Or if you like toe splay, then you've got to go to a shoe that has um, the toe shape that is more anatomical. If you've got a narrow foot, you've got to find a shoe that's made on a narrow last. So fit is the number one thing, and most people get that wrong. And by the way, if you're buying a Blumaka insole or you're going to put an aftermarket insole in it, take the insole that you're going to wear into the store with you and fit your shoes with the insole in it. Don't get fit for a shoe and then change your insole out if you can help it. I mean, you're going to have to do that to get started, but always build your system around the socks that you wear. Don't go to the store with thick wool socks if you wear little mini crews. Don't go and wear a mini crew if you're going to wear a thick wool sock.
Right.
And so fit is number one, and then foot shape is paramount. Width, um, and if you get fit right, I think you're going to go a long way to finding the right shoe for you. And then, of course, these individuals at these run specialty shop, you go to, you're in the Midwest, you go to Big River Running, or you go to um, Snail's Pace here in Southern California, or Santa Barbara Running or something. Go to a place that's committed to the craft of getting the right shoe on you.
And in these places too, will they understand the insole aspect of it as well, or essentially
Well, if
try to
they
sell you the insole?
I believe that the best running retailers in the world will sell you an insole because they understand that what comes in the shoes is such garbage. Now, a lot of runners think, "Oh, I'm getting upsold. Why would I spend $200 on a shoe and then buy a $65 insole?" Well, would you ever go and buy a brand new Mercedes or Cadillac or BMW and you open the door, take the keys, and then look inside and go, "Oh, they've got a wood bench in here to sit on"? No, you'd probably buy the bucket seats and the leather seats.
That's right.
Essentially, what the athletic industry has done is put all of their money into the midsole and the outsole and the outside design. And when they get, and they will tell you this, when they get to the design process, the last thing they design in is the insole. And when the bean counters want to save money, the first thing they will do is reduce the cost of the insole. They'll say, we can't put a $2 insole in this thing. We're going to put a 70-cent insole. And then the bean counter says, "Well, gosh, but I don't think the customer will know. So let's put a 60-cent insole in here and we can make 10 cents more a pair." And this is why I love working with on this with Rabbit is, they invested in an insole that's going to go 1,000 miles. They could have made a cheaper insole, but they didn't. And again, all of the intellectual cognoscenti of the footwear industry will tell you, well, the customers don't care. I think the customers would care if they understood the significance of it. So I believe that any running store that does not try to put you in a better insole is probably not the most sophisticated running store. But the running customer has to, it's like they feel like they're getting upsold. They feel
Yeah.
like they're just getting taken advantage of. And but a running retailer uh, that's trying to sell you an insole generally is trying to improve the comfort of that shoe. Now, by the way, there are some aftermarket insole companies out there that are getting $65 for an insole, and I don't think their insoles are going to last for 250 miles, but they're going to last for 250 miles, not 25.
Wow.
And that's why I think Blumaka has something to add to these runners, because instead of, we're going to give you 1,000 miles of cushioning, which is what you need. I mean, why would you spend $60 on an insole that's going to last 200 miles or 250 when you can spend the same price on something that's going to last 1,000 miles?
Yeah.
So, it requires sophistication on both the seller and the buyer. But I know one of the great running stores in the country, and I'll bet they pair new insoles with 40% of the running shoes they sell. And they fit every customer. They put them in that right shoe, and people come back because it works.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's the big point I see here, especially, is that they're saying the consumer doesn't know because the consumer doesn't know actually what is happening. Because I can't tell you how
That's
many clients I have talked to, and we talk about shoes, and it's almost a badge of honor to wear the shoes as long as possible. And these are often clients with great means. It's not like they can't afford it, but there's something that's gotten lost in the translation, maybe growing up, being in athletics or not, or just no education about this. That's what drew me to this episode. I was like, oh, this is not being discussed. And
yeah.
certainly,
Well,
and maybe more in running communities, but it's certainly in the personal training fitness industry, there is zero conversation about this unless the shoes are cool looking. That's what it goes to, like.
yeah. Well, that's right. I mean, there's an old Asian proverb that says health starts with the feet, and I believe that. And I would translate that into, if you're an athlete, performance starts with your feet.
Yeah.
And if you're wandering around on shoes that have lost all of their springiness, their cushioning, I would guess that you're putting yourself at greater risk than you need to. I remember, again, back when I was doing high mileage training and was a poor student. I didn't have money to go buy new shoes. Eventually got sponsored, but we made a point of pride of wearing our shoes 1,000 miles.
Yeah.
And I think back on that and I'm like, oh my gosh, what a crazy thing to do. But I still see it, as you say. So, it's pay me now or pay me later.
That's right.
People ask me, well, I've run about somewhere close to 90,000 miles
Yeah.
over my lifetime. And people say, how are your knees? How's your back? Well, my knees are fine. My back is fine. My legs are fine. I'm just slow. but, but, my knees don't hurt. My back
Yeah.
doesn't hurt. And my hips don't hurt. And I think part of the reason for that, I mean, obviously there's genetics,
Of
certainly,
course.
but I think one of the reasons for that is, for most of my life, I have been in the footwear business, wear testing and using new footwear extremely frequently. I mean, I mean, I am testing a different shoe, multiple shoes per month, sometimes multiple shoes per week.
Yeah. Wow. That's incredible. I want to talk about the non-slip aspect because before we were got on, I was talking to you about this a little bit with my Blumakas and just how incredible this non-slip component is a huge game changer for kind of the feeling you have in your shoe. As one of the
Right.
issues I've always felt in shoes that I can't stand is once I've worn them for a while, I feel like my feet are sliding. I never went out there. You know what this feels like. And the Blumaka, I feel this non-slip completely changed my feeling about that. So I'd love for to hear more about that.
Okay. Well, maybe I should interview you. It
I
seems like
know, right? Come on.
but just keep in mind, as skeptical as the listeners are about this, what's non-slip and why does it matter? You were that skeptical when we first started. I was like, well, here's what it does. And you're like, really? I
Yeah.
mean, appropriately skeptical, I would
Yeah.
say. So, and you've completely changed out of
Completely.
experience.
Completely.
Okay. So here's what's happening. And I got my little sock puppet on. So, conventional sock.
Yeah.
In a normal insole over here, your sock and the insole are made, the insole has fabric on it, right? And because these materials have the same coefficient of friction, you slide on them. And think about this. If I'm like this and I'm trying to start quickly, what happens?
Yep.
Right? Think about trying to run on a gymnasium floor, old polished floor in
Yeah.
socks.
Yeah.
You don't go anywhere. You look like Roadrunner or something, except you're not going anywhere. And if you're trying to cut or turn, so you're out here, you've got to stop. So before you stop, you slide over to the edge of your shoe, you hit the sidewall, now you stop, right? If you're taking a step and you lose a quarter of a mile like this every time you step, that's 13 yards per mile, just moving a quarter
Oh,
of an inch. And I know from running up hills, I move more than a quarter of an inch. Have you ever run downhill on a trail or something?
yes.
What happens?
Oh man, you're just sliding forward in that shoe hard,
So if you're sliding forward, why wouldn't you be sliding backwards
Right.
too? You're sliding in every direction.
Yeah.
And so there is nothing about performance that increases when you slide. If it were, you wouldn't put cleats on shoes, you wouldn't worry about traction systems, you wouldn't have spikes on track shoes. You'd just slide because that's how you'd perform well. So why do you want your shoes to be stuck to the ground and you doing this? And if you go to the great retailers about hiking, they'll say, well, use 2 socks, use big socks, use little socks. They got all kinds of theory. I don't care what sock you wear, how tight you lace that shoe, you're going to slide. Okay. So we developed this at Blumaka, the non-slip insole. So I have that over here.
Mm-hmm.
Now when I do this, and I'm not putting any more pressure, now when I pull back, I use my body weight and the coefficient of friction difference in the sock and this top cover, a non-fabric top cover, to keep you centered over your shoes and over your cleats. And so when you pull back to run fast, you're not sliding. And I explain this, but you tell the audience, what is it true? Do you feel stuck to your shoes? And what is that experience?
So, and I'm telling you, I'm wearing mine right now. So, which is great.
Oh, I love it.
I'm wearing these things right now with my Brooks Adrenaline, which is a great shoe. I love this shoe.
Great
It's
shoe.
incredible,
Mm-hmm.
excellent running shoe. But I put the Blue Makas in, and I immediately felt there was no movement. Even in a newer shoe, when I wear it, there's something going on there. There's something. It's not as aggressive as it is later once I've run on it, a while, but it's the experience, at least to me, of feeling held together. It's hard to explain, but just feelings of like I have security in my feet. So the gift of that is to not think about my feet while I'm performing. If I'm not thinking about what's happening in my shoes, I'm more focused about my performance and what I'm doing. I need to have limited amount of variables that I need to think about when I'm running, especially for me. If I'm thinking about my shoes, that's a problem for me when I'm running. I'm not getting in a flow that I need to be in. So it basically takes away a layer of a problem or a
Yep.
variable that is actually really distracting to me personally.
And it was a problem you didn't really know you had though until you didn't have it anymore,
Right. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You know, it's like discovering bubble gum as a child. You're like, whoa, what's this?
Yeah.
Or chocolate milk. But that ability to lock your foot to your shoe. So now your shoe is operating with your shoe as when your shoe stops, your foot stops.
Right.
When your when your foot starts, your shoe starts. I mean, how this is not rocket science. Now, I think we should tell people you can't, because this is a non-slip insole, you can't just leave your laces tied and slide in because now you'll
Right.
roll your socks under you, right?
Right.
So
That's right.
you do have to unlace your shoes. And the first time you get in, you're going, well, is my sock going to bunch up? And
I
you kind of
felt
have
that.
to,
I definitely
yeah,
felt that. I was like, this is a weird feeling. I'm not used to this.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then you have to wiggle your foot and you want to make sure you get your sock flat. But after you do it 2 or 3 times, you found that now you get in them just lickety split, right?
Yeah, because
But
before I used to sliding into my shoe and that feeling
yeah,
just sliding, slipping, the term you're slipping on your shoes. And that goes away when you
yeah,
have to really, it's almost like a clip in, it feels like, and like you're clipping
that's
yourself
good.
in to the
Yep.
shoe, so you're locked in. And that was a weird feeling at first because I had never had that feeling before. And you're talking about someone, I was a collegiate track and field athlete. We used to get shoes all the time. I had never once felt that feeling. I have been an avid runner most of my life. That was the first time I felt that.
Yeah. Well, imagine cutting or stopping or starting.
Yeah.
Remember Zion Williams blowing out
Oh,
the side of his
yeah.
shoe?
Yeah.
So, so if his shoes, if his foot were not moving inside his shoes, how would he have slid clear over the edge of his shoes?
That's exactly
But
right.
right now, what the shoe companies do is they allow you to slide around inside your shoe, or they crank it down. Laces and cable lacing systems and dial lacing system. But now you're putting pressure on top of your foot to hold it in place. Why not use body weight and gravity to center you on that shoe? Um, and by the way, you know, I don't know. I think this is an update. We've had 10 NFL teams buy our product in the last 60 days
Oh,
for their entire team. Now, it's not because we have the biggest brand voice or whatever. The benefit of not slipping is simple. One of these pro franchises did a study on 200 pro athletes. I kid you not, it's on our website. 80% of the athletes, 80% of 200 athletes, I didn't pay for this study.
yeah.
I didn't even know they were doing it. 80% of the athletes started faster, 80% stopped faster. If you're not slipping, you're going to start faster, right? 80% were more stable. You talk about
Mm,
injury prevention.
yes.
80% were more stable from the knee to the ground. Stability, not moving, is always a factor in reducing injury. But here's an incredible number: 90% of their athletes ran faster and had a longer stride length. Now, why do you think they had a
Wow.
longer stride length? Because their stride was fully engaged instead of on a conventional insole. If your stride moves back, It shortens your stride, but it also makes you slower.
Yeah.
So that's why we have, I mean, every Major League Baseball team has multiple players wearing our product
Oh.
because they see these starting and stopping things. And when you're trying to hit a ball, you ever tried to hit a ball standing in your stocking feet on ice? Movement does not drive balls. Slipping doesn't help you slide. Now, granted, we know what this non-slip technology does. We know it works. I will say, like we had a pitcher, 10 pitchers on a baseball team. 9 of them loved it. 1 of them hated it because they did not like that locked in feeling. They wanted to be
You
able
wanted to
to,
slide, right? When
they wanted, whatever, they wanted their toes to wiggle and move.
yeah.
Now, we make this the same cushioning level with a fabric insole because we understand that some people don't like that. In fact, a lot of our just daily runners, they want to use our max cushion high arch product because they're looking for cushioning and support. You know, if you're out running a 10-minute mile, you probably want cushioning and support. You don't need that locked in feeling. Now, I really invented the non-slip technology because I love trail running. I
Yeah.
didn't really envision that it would be going to the NFL and Major League Baseball and pro lacrosse and increasing distance for golfers. I mean, we got incredible stories for golfers where
Oh.
because they're locked in, they're hitting the ball farther. And I'm going to publish that report soon. But I mean, literally, there is independent data that says I heard from one Division One golfer, his drives went from 296, which is a heck of a long way,
Pretty good.
to 324. Not once. He measured 100 shots before he used our insole and 100 shots after on the golf course, not on a driving range.
Right.
So you get this stability or ground reaction force, using the ground to drive energy. I mean, think of what a high jumper could do in this, or a
Oh my
long jumper.
gosh. Yes.
Or think about a track runner that's running around. I've seen pictures of track athletes. They're going around the curve, right? Here's the outside of the curve. This is their outside foot, and their foot is completely off of their shoe as they push around that corner. Now imagine if you're trying to push around that corner and your shoe and your foot are locked together.
Right.
Which athlete is going to drive more energy forward? Because if you're sliding off of the edge of your shoe, which way is the energy going? Forward or
Right. You're
this way?
dispersing it out there. And I had the same issue when I'd run the 200 meters in college.
There you
It
go.
was always shifting. And I remember thinking, this shoe looks so awesome that I'm wearing. It was just like these gold spikes, and they were Adidas. They were amazing, but they just kept slipping off to the side. And it always annoyed me. I remember thinking, I hate this feeling, but I had nothing to do. I couldn't do anything about it. I didn't know what to do
Yeah,
about it.
you might run barefoot in the shoe and be better, but
Yeah.
but anyway, you see the point of
Yeah.
the non-slip is a performance advantage. Now, I'm a comfort pig, and I thought, well, I'm going to wear my non-slip
Yeah.
Blumaka insoles for trail running. But when I go out on a road run, I'll just go back to my conventional high cushioned insoles.
Yeah.
I've got to the point where I can't even walk to the shopping center with my wife without my non-slip insoles because I just hate the feeling of
Yeah.
slipping inside my shoes. Now I just feel all sloppy and I don't like it. But again, I have a colleague here who loves the Connect technology for trail.
Yeah.
He does not like it for walking. So I think you've got to find your way. But if I'm playing golf, I wouldn't. I mean, the idea of playing golf without a non-slip insole is ridiculous. Just take your
Unbelievable.
spikes off then.
Yeah, yeah.
I would never do a trail run without it. I would never hike a trail without it. Uh, I would never play basketball without it. I would never play lacrosse or soccer without
Right.
it. And we do make a low profile insole, a very thin version. It's very well, let me show you. It's just so much thinner than our conventional one. I'm going to stack it up here. So the dark blue is the thin
Right.
version, and the light blue is the thicker. And so this will fit in a soccer cleat,
Okay.
and we even have it low profile with an arch support, so that you can get sort of plantar fasciitis protection. So
Yeah.
we make the non-slip, we make the max cushion, and we have a low, medium, and high arch. If you've got plantar fasciitis issues or you really want support, go with high arch.
Yep.
If you're a young person and you just want lightweight and you don't have no foot issues, you can go with the low arch. But the fact that you can take non-slip insoles with arch support built in and get them in a soccer cleat is phenomenal.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Here's for our medium and high arch, here's the shape of the reinforcement. Can you kind of see that shadow of this
Yeah.
in here?
Yeah.
Right?
Wow.
So we left this opening under the calcaneus because why would you, if you're going to support the foot, why would you want hard plastic under here? Can you see the little calcaneus knot or the Achilles notch? So we're not rubbing the Achilles. I'm not a doctor, so I put some relief in it. So if you overpower it, it can go flat.
Right.
You've got nice heel cupping. One of the secrets of a great insole, this is our max cushion high arch. See this heel cupping?
Yeah.
And if you look at the insoles that they put in most shoes, I mean, see how much narrower and deeper this heel cup is?
Yeah.
Well, if you can push the fat pad back underneath the calcaneus on your heel, which means deep heel cup, narrower heel cup, that alone will use that skin under your heel bone you could increase your cushioning by 5 to 10%.
Yeah. Man.
And so you don't want an insole that's just flat across the bottom and let that fat pad under your calcaneus spread out. You want to cup it. And so that's another way to get. So really, when you're buying an aftermarket insole, look for that deep heel cup. Your foot's going to fit in there.
Yeah.
And then we keep that in place by putting a little bit firmer material. And as you know, all of our products are made out of 85% recycled waste foam. We haven't talked about this, but this is the trash to make all those wonderful performance athletic shoes. They're throwing away enough of this foam, and foam is a two-part plastic, so you can't melt it down like a water bottle, Dr. Parker. What they're doing with this is burning it or burying it. And you'll see recycled foam, and they turn this into powder and sprinkle a little bit into it, 5% or something.
Yeah.
But we grind this up. Can you see those granules?
Yeah.
So we take this foam, the highest performance foam coming out of the athletic industry, and then can you see those flakes in there?
I see them.
So we use this as the cushioning. Sadly, interestingly, the footwear industry is throwing away enough of this foam every year for me to make 5 billion insoles that outperform every single one of the insoles that they're now making.
Incredible. Wow. Unbelievable.
So not only are we making a great product, we're making it in the cleanest foam manufacturing environment in the world. We're only using a tablespoon of water to make one of these. We use approximately 90% less water than it takes to make conventional foam. So I love the fact that we're taking what the footwear industry has called trash and making the highest performance insoles
That's
ever made.
amazing.
And if you don't believe me, why am I the only guy? Why are we the only brand guaranteeing our cushioning for 1,000 miles? If the way they're doing it's so darn good, where's their 1,000 miles
Where's
of
the
cushioning
thousand
guarantee?
miles? That's exactly right. Man, I tell you what, you were right. I was like appropriately skeptical. And I think it's a lot of life. Once you actually do something and you feel something, you get exposed to something, then you kind of start knowing at that point. And for me, as
Yeah.
someone who's run my whole life, I put it in there. I was like, all right, this is weird. This is different. And then I went on my run and I was like, what has been going on with me, man? Like this is crazy how amazing it is. But then I started thinking too, beyond just the running is I'm someone who has like a very tactile feeling person. I like things close, tight to me. I kind of like that swaddling effect. I'm not like I don't like things loose. So it just catered to that sensation that I experience as a person. Like I feel more comfortable. I feel more secure as a person because I don't have to think about my feet in that way anymore. So it was a tactile function issue for me too that it solved, which creates a better feeling for me as a person.
Well, you're the doctor, so I can't analyze that swaddling feeling. I'll let you do that. But what I will say is I love the fact that one, you feel the performance benefit. Two, it gives you that emotional comfort of being connected. I think that's really important. And number three, the reason we were talking about sustainability, it should give you uh, sort of an intellectual a rush to know that when you buy the product, you're buying what's right for you physically, what's right for you emotionally, but it's also right for you mentally because you know that by buying that product, you're also cleaning up the trash from an industry that you clearly love. And
Yes.
I mean, we haven't talked about it, but we go beyond insoles. I don't know. Have you seen our
Oh, I
Flex
didn't. No,
footwear?
no.
Our Flex footwear brand. So look at this. I mean, got the
Wow.
toe post down here so you don't slide around.
Yeah.
Anatomical shape for recovery. So Flex footwear is made from our same recycled foam.
Oh,
And again, instead of using virgin materials that are toxic and polluted, even the strap on this one is made with our recycled materials. I mean, look at this. You need to get your wife a pair of these.
yo, that looks
So,
awesome.
so this is flexfootwear.com. It's got all of this recycled material. Every single piece of this shoe was has either recycled content or was salvaged. So this is sheepskin that is salvaged from the sheepskins that the big brands would throw away because they call them B grades because there's not a you have to cut around the bad areas.
Yeah.
The outsole is 15% recycled material. We don't make the outsole, but it was the best we could do. And you'll even see I don't know if you can on here, but the leather has little marks on it or almost stretch marks. So the other brands throw this away. And so we buy it and salvage it. So everything in Flex is dedicated to using the resources that are available and to make a beautiful, high quality. Your wife will
That
not
looks
take these
amazing.
off. I don't know when her birthday is or how long you
It's coming up,
when last
man.
time. It doesn't matter. Okay, well, you're going to win brownie points, and if her birthday isn't coming up, get them anyway because
Yeah, of
she's going to like.
course.
But we have all made with this anatomical and you talk about recovery footwear. You
Yeah.
don't want mushy floppy
No,
recovery
no, no,
footwear that's
no.
all injection molded. These actually support your feet, but you don't have to break them in.
I see.
And again, the cushioning will last 1,000 miles.
That's amazing. You know, one thing I hate about Like when I don't wear like those type of, sandals and stuff, because normally most sandals, they slide too much for me. I have a real problem with this. It's like a big thing for me. And I'm like, there's too much sliding. I don't like the way it feels. I have to be able to like stick in
Well,
it. That's a
yeah.
huge deal for me.
Well,
That's why it was enlightening when I got when I had these insoles. I was like, oh, this is unbelievable. I don't have to think about this anymore. Because it was actually kind of a
that's
problem
great.
for me. Seriously.
I'm glad you found that uh, connection to this
Yeah.
non-slip. I'm glad that I really appreciate the fact, coming on a podcast, people think you're just shilling something. I love to share these stories, but it's really helpful when I really just don't like to do them unless the host has worn my product.
Yeah.
And so far, our best ambassador is our product. It speaks for itself. And, we make some bold claims. We try to back them up, but we're doing good things. So we gotta find a way to get them to your listeners. I think
Right
we're
here.
going to
I
go
just took
with
my shoe off. There it is, right here. So everyone knows I am wearing these, okay? They came from my shoe I put in there. Amazing.
have you looked at the insole you took out of there? Not
I
that we
def-
want to beat anybody up, but
I'm telling you, I mean, first of all, when I took it out of the package, I was like, okay, this is the weirdest looking thing I've seen for this. It's strange. I was like, look at the cupping, again, what you're saying, the cupping here. And then just it just felt strange. The design of it was very different. And then once I put it in the shoe, slid in, the adjustment was, I'm thinking I'm sliding my feet into there. And I got caught with all this friction. And I was like, oh, this is already very different. I'm not used to this feeling. And then after that, it was done. I mean, the performance
some
number
people
one.
no blister problems. Some people say, well, if you lock your feet in, you're going to get blisters. Um, we haven't experienced that if the shoe fits right,
Right.
but well, I'm glad you like it. I mean, that's the main
Okay.
thing. And you haven't even mentioned cushioning, but
No, I
it,
haven't. It was the sliding part that was my biggest. I hate sliding so much with a passion, but no, the cushion's great too. I just feel supported when I'm running and I'm doing my long runs. The best part for me is not thinking. I don't want to have to think about it. I just want to focus on my tempo, my breathing. I can't be thinking, wow, my shoe feels weird on me. That's the last thing I want to be thinking about.
do you have any of your listeners that are football players?
No, no. I mean, maybe I don't know who
Well,
all the
that's not.
listeners are completely, but so
Well,
maybe.
we just created one of the things that we've created is a new insole for turf toe. Do you know what turf toe is?
Oh
Where
man,
you're
I have not had turf toe, but I know about it. Yeah.
okay. So it's taking your big toe,
Mhm.
right? If this is your toe, and pushing this toe back to here, and then just keep on going. And so we created this new insole. See the carbon fiber plate in
Man,
it,
look at that.
and the industry standard, believe it or not. I mean, you can't believe. I don't know whether Herman Munsterman a torture chamber or whatever, but they're putting plates like this
Are
that
you
are just
serious?
absolutely stiff and rigid. How do you run
Oh,
with that? Well, you don't. So the athletes don't like them. They don't get accommodation. So then they go out
yeah,
and get re-injured. So we embedded the plate in here so it's not slipping around. We put a slit in it so that you have medial to lateral
yeah.
dexterity. But look at this. This plate bends easily this way.
Whoa.
So you're not really easily, right? So it's not stiff
Yeah,
like that other plate I just showed you. But now you get it to here, Dr. Parker, and it absolutely becomes rigid.
yeah.
So you
That's
can't
amazing.
over rotate that joint. Now, what does that look like to you? Does that look like a starting block?
It looks like definitely like when I was in one.
Yeah. So
Wow.
so now
Propulsion.
you're
Thing.
able to, but you're able to run naturally. We've done all kinds of tests, and this is one of the products that the NFL and the college
Yeah.
football teams are getting. We also have several professional lacrosse people and even baseball people that get turf toes. So we do have this, and I'm proud of this product because we've taken an injury that's been in the industry in sports forever, I guess, and moved from let's just throw a dumb old. I mean, why not just nail some plywood to their foot?
Right.
And we've created, in conjunction with the non-slip, we've created this Carbon Elite product, which is pretty cool.
Stuart, this has been very enlightening. Seriously, probably one of the most educational episodes I've had about a topic that is so universal for all people that they know the least about. One of the least things they know about is their foot health and well-being and performance. So I really appreciate you coming on. For the listeners, we'll have in the show notes some information. If you want to buy some Blumakas, it'll be there. We'll have an affiliate code, the whole thing. As you've seen, I showed mine here on camera. I believe in it. And Stuart, this company are doing amazing work. Thank you for giving me some of your time, Stuart. I really appreciate you.
Well, you're most welcome, and I look forward to hearing from your listeners and appreciate what you're doing to educate the world. More of this kind of conversation is needed.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you, Stuart. Have a good one.
You too, Dr. Parker.